Okay. Hey Dev. So my video is actually based on some movie recommendations for you. I know last time we talked, um, you know, we said I should make a video, so here's the video. Um, so actually, I went to see a musical last night. I went to see this musical called Six. It's actually about King Henry VIII and his six wives, right? So as I left the theater, the show's not bad. Um, as I left the theater, I actually was walking by, as you do, and all of a sudden I saw these people in a dumpster, right? And there was like these like DVDs stacked on top of this like a little dumpster crate, and that sounds kind of disgusting, but it was a closed dumpster, and it was a closed container, right? But there's DVDs on top, and this guy was telling me, he's like, "Oh, hey, do you want some DVDs? They're free. Like, if you don't take them, they're gonna go to the landfill." That sounds really disgusting, like it's New York, and it sounds like it was greasy, and it wasn't. I promise you, it wasn't. But yeah, um, I I got some DVDs, and it actually inspired me to really, you know, give you some better recommendations. So a lot of the movies that I'm gonna talk about, there's five movies, but it's actually based on some movies that you like. So I know you like Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's a great movie. It's a great book, and I really enjoyed it, and it feels true to the high school experience of being an introvert, right? And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I know personally I did. Um, and a movie that is similar to that for me was actually The Edge of 17. The Edge of 17 came out like 2019 or earlier than that, like 2017, 2018. But I remember when this movie came out, I was like, I wish this movie came out when I was in high school. And because I'm like, I needed that movie then. So, but it's a really good movie. And it's very similar to what Charlie goes through in Perks of Being a Wallflower. Like he's socially alone, and then he gains friends, and you know he sort of develops this inner confidence, and that's pretty much what this movie goes through. It's a very similar character arc, and it's very funny. I'd say it's even funnier than Perks. Perks is a very serious movie. This is a much more lighthearted in tone. So I definitely recommend Edge of 17. It's about an introvert who only has one friend, and you kind of have to ask yourself, like, what happens? Because they stop being friends. It's like, what do you do when you're really all alone? Like what happens to a person? And it's sad, and it's funny, and it makes you think. But it's a good movie. My second recommendation, to go along with this Perks of Being a Wallflower thing, is a movie called Pirate Radio, which is also about a group of outcasts. It takes place in the 70s, and it takes place in England, London, England, right? And what happened was rock and roll was banned on the airwaves. Could not listen to rock and roll music at all. They thought it was polluting people's minds. So what happened was these group of pirates, there's a movie called Pirate Radio. These group of pirates, right? They actually take to the ocean on a boat, and they broadcast rock and roll music all day, all night, 24 hours. And it was clever because that's the only place they could legally play rock and roll music. But somehow the British government still tries to find a way to shut them down. But it's based on a true story, and it's a very fun, lighthearted movie about a group of social outcasts who bond together through music. It's great, like great music in that movie. So that's the 1-2 punch for my recommendation for Perks of Being a Wallflower. Um, my second, recommendation, really technically third, but you get it. Second recommendation is, I know you're a Christopher Nolan fan. You've seen Memento, you've seen Inception. I'm sure you've seen the Batman movies, right? Interstellar. But this movie is actually by a director who's similar to Christopher Nolan. You probably know him. His name's Rian Johnson. He did Knives Out. He also directed the 8th episode of Star Wars. And it's actually called Looper. Looper is, best way I could describe Looper to you is like it's the Terminator if Christopher Nolan directed the Terminator. It's starring Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. They're playing different versions of each other. So Bruce Willis is the main character. He's actually a bounty hunter, but the thing is, he never knows who he's gonna kill because they have a sack over their face. But the thing is, he's aging out of his job, and usually, when you age out of your job as a bounty hunter, you kill a younger version of yourself, but you don't always know who you're going to kill, right? So anyway, it becomes a sort of manhunt to see who kills who. Is Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the younger version, going to kill the older version, or the older version going to kill the younger version? You don't know. But anyway, if either version dies, well, actually, that's not true. If the younger version dies, the older version dies. I recommend the movie. It's a good movie. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, I would definitely recommend Looper. So, okay, I have some notes over here. So, actually, my third pick, I'm actually gonna recommend a musical to you. I actually like musicals, as you can see, right? 6. And this is actually my favorite musical. I actually was gonna, it was between this and the musical I didn't see that I was gonna check out on Broadway. And this one it started out on Broadway, and it became a feature film. And honestly, the film is a classic. It's called Little Shop of Horrors. Now, I know you're asking yourself, what is this based on? I never told you. You never told me that you like musicals. This is just a wild card. I just think this is a great movie to recommend to anybody. It's called Little Shop of Horrors. It's with Rick Moranis. If you've ever seen Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, he's the father with the glasses. And he's very funny in it. He plays a shy, socially awkward. He plays this shy, socially awkward character named Seymour, and he works in a plant shop on Skid Row. And basically, it's like he works in the ghetto, and he's in love with his coworker Audrey. The 3 main characters: Seymour, Audrey, the love interest, and the shop owner, Mr. Shelnick. I think that's his name. They all work together in this plant shop that's making no money. And what happens is Seymour is a plant. He's a plant buff. He loves plants. So he tries to, spice up business, and he buys this exotic plant. And he says, Mr. Mushnick, can we put this in the shop window? I think this could attract some business to your flower shop, right? And Mr. Mushnick's like, well, all right, cool. What do we got to lose? And eventually Seymour discovers that this plant is a Venus flytrap from outer space. Okay? I know. And he eats he loved blood. Okay, he loved blood. All right. So the thing is, as you know, Seymour becomes successful, as the shop gets better, right? You start to, you know. Anyway, yeah, as the shop gets better, you know, he has to take a moral stance. He has to ask himself, okay, do I keep feeding this plant to, you know, still be successful, or how do I live with myself? How do I, you know, I'm kind of spoiling the movie, but essentially, you know, the plant makes the business successful, and Seymour has to, you know, come to a moral stance with how he's gaining this success, because it's not from a genuine place. Uh, anyway, I recommend this movie. I love this movie. It's very, very funny. It's got it takes place in the 50s, in New York. It feels like on the Lower East Side of New York. It's on a place called Skid Row, and it's really good. Steve Martin's in it. He's playing the dentist who's Audrey's boyfriend, um, and he's a lovely dentist. You'll love. He's a great dentist. I highly recommend him. If you need a dentist, get Steve Martin. That's all I gotta say. Um, I think that was 3 movies. Yeah, no, 4. 4. Wow, got 4 movies, and I got 2 more for you, Dev, and then I'm gonna call it. So I know you are a fan of Troy. I recommended Troy to you. What kind of got the whole ball rolling for this. It was Troy. So I don't have any movies like Troy. I don't. I don't. Sorry, but I do think that you would like a movie called Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. So this movie is actually a Western. It's a classic. It's I think it's the first classic film I'm recommending to you. It takes place, I don't know when, it's in the West, but it's about these 2 famous outlaws, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, right? And they did this bank robbery, and ever since then, this is the biggest heist of their careers. And ever since they did this bank heist, they have been hunted down by this posse that they can't seem to outrun. So no matter how much money they make or how much money they spend, they can't really enjoy it, because they got this group, this super group of bandits breathing down their necks, because they're wanted, dead or alive. So the paranoia keeps creeping in. Oh my gosh, how are we gonna get out of this? How are we gonna make it out of here? And this is like the first big movie in Hollywood that makes you root for the bad guys, because they're criminals, but you want them to outrun the law. You want them to outrun the good guys. And it's a really good movie. It's really fun, and that's something that a lot of westerns aren't, unless you're watching like John Wayne or something. But this is like on another level of western. It's not your Clint Eastwood western. It's not like the ultra super masculine. These guys are cool. They're relaxed. They're funny. Um, it's honestly the perfect western for someone who doesn't like westerns. So it isn't not it's not like the ultra masculine Troy type movies, but you know, Paul Newman's kind of like, you know, has a Brad Pitt, George Clooney kind of vibe. So Same thing with Robert Redford. They're kind of the 1-2 punch, similar to Brad Pitt and George Clooney. So I do recommend that. And then my last and final pick. It's a long video. I'm sorry. I know you love The Count of Monte Cristo. I actually got the chance to watch it. It's actually on YouTube, and it's actually really, really good. And I didn't realize, I kind of already knew the story, but it's kind of like the journey that a lot of guys are on. The self-improvement kind of journey, right? The things that you and I talked about before, and some of the stuff you've helped me with. And this movie is pretty much the whole epitome of self-improvement, right? This dude kind of goes from being this NPC, right, to building out the life of his dreams, right? And he's serving revenge, like it's like the best dish served cold, right? So this movie is really, really good. I didn't know how much I would like this movie, but yeah, the movie this reminds me so much of is a movie I grew up with. It's actually called The Mask of Zorro. It's with Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Anthony Hopkins. It's so funny, and it kind of makes up for the lack of action adventure that I have on this list. Sundance Kid is action-based, but this definitely makes up for it. It's definitely a Pirates of the Caribbean kind of vibe. It's very much The Count of Monte Cristo, but it's funny. It's got great action. It's a really well told story, and I watched this movie over and over and over and over again. So I definitely love it, and it's really inspired by The Count of Monte Cristo. So that is honestly my top pick on this whole list. I highly recommend that one the most. But yeah, Dev, that's everything. Thanks for everything you've done, and I hope you like these movies. Let me know what you think.